Tonight on CFTK-TV News, leaders weigh in on reinstating the Alaska Highways ferry terminal, outreach workers share on the desperate situation of the Kitimat homeless, and the UBCM converges for its annual assembly.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, September 22nd, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. The mayor of Prince Rupert recently traveled to southeast Alaska, advocating for reopening the Alaska Marine Highway, which he says has been an ongoing concern since the Prince Rupert terminal closed in 2019.
As you travel on the Alaska Marine Highway, the route encompasses 3,500 miles of coastline.
Mayor Pond says that resolving the security and capacity issues that need to be addressed to restore ferry service between Prince Rupert and Ketchikan, Alaska, would be a strategic move. He said it will strengthen cross-border collaboration and unlock new economic opportunities for both regions. The Prince Rupert terminal has been closed for 6 years now due to aging and unusable infrastructure and a stalemate over which country and whose steel and labor would be used to revitalize the terminal. Community members have lamented the loss of the service, including Ocean Rutherford, rep for Area A on the North Coast Regional District Board, whose informative YouTube video explains the issue and value of the service in detail.
Every year growing up, these 3 lanes would be full in the summertime of travelers on their annual pilgrimage north to Alaska. We haven't had this for about 5 years now through COVID and through other complications. Today, I'd like to go over what Canada is in control of and how we can advocate for the return of the Alaska State Ferry to Prince Rupert.
Rutherford also recently got MP for Skeena-Balkley Valley Ellis Ross interested in the project.
If we want the economy going, we've got to look at all our opportunities, including the ones that we've ignored for so long, like the Alaska Ferry Terminal out of Prince Rupert. If we don't develop something like that, then the United States will build a ferry terminal up in Hyder, Alaska. There'll be no need for any ferries to stop in Prince Rupert that are traveling, that usually use the Alaska Ferry Terminal in Prince Rupert. I mean, it's a lot of these issues that have been ignored that I think that British Columbians deserve, especially northern British Columbians, deserve to be heard. And we got so much to offer.
Jaylene Matthews, CFTK-TV News. The homeless encampment in Kitimat remains despite cooling temperatures and pounding rain. We spoke with a pair of representatives from outreach organizations in Kitimat about what's being done to solve the problem. CFTK-TV's Kel Maslin reports.
The emergence of a tent encampment in Kitimat behind the city council chambers has sparked more conversations about homelessness in the district. While the district does have a temporary shelter available during the winter between November 1st and March 31st, that leaves unhoused people in the area mostly on their own the rest of the year. But there still are some means for people struggling to find a place to get a bit of a reprieve.
Okay, so the Kitimat Community Development Center and Hammock Status of Women both offer homeless prevention programs. So the homeless prevention program is aimed at stopping homelessness before someone becomes homeless. And so we offer a rent subsidy program. The program also offers different funding for individuals, so that program can subsidize, say, the cost of like a calling card, or it can pay for transportation. And we also offer support in finding landlords in the community that are offering rent at affordable costs. And then we look at coaching and supporting individuals to look at their budgets and make different decisions that will help them from becoming homeless.
The main difference between TSW and KCDC's homeless prevention programs is that TSW is mandated to serve a majority of women and children.
Both the Kitimat Development Center and Tamatic Status of Women have some other means of fighting homelessness, like housing supports, their own seasonal/extreme weather shelters, and a new building project that TSW is currently working on. Despite their efforts, the existence of the encampment shows that those measures still aren't enough, and the organizations have teamed up to try and find other means of homelessness prevention.
Both TSW and KCDC have spoken to council on their own as well as together. We did a joint presentation at a council meeting. We've had discussions with district staff, about different resolutions we can think of. Council has been advocating for a year-round shelter now publicly for a few years. We've both sent support letters to the District of Kitimat just highlighting the need that were presented at Council, and we've also sent letters to the Housing Minister.
The representatives from both organizations said the shortage of affordable housing and rising rental costs were some of the biggest reasons that Kitimat's homelessness situation is the way it is. And the next closest municipality with a year-round shelter and similar supportive housing options is Terrace, a place that's around 45 minutes away from Kitimat by vehicle, and it's not always easy to get there via public transit either. But both organizations aren't giving up on trying to secure a year-round shelter that is both accessible for people with mobility issues and able to accommodate everyone. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
Northern Health and the First Nations Health Authority have released a joint statement that says a drug alert is being issued for the entirety of the northern region. The alert has been put into place because of a purple paste that's been sold as Down, has been linked to multiple overdose events, and it's tested positive for benzos, fentanyl, and an animal sedative called medetomidine. The alert will expire on October 7th, and tips on safe use are available on Northern Health's website. Some residents in Terrace previously raised concerns about benches being removed from bus stops. Our cameras went to a few locations. CFTK-TV's Helena Sante reports.
While some benches have been removed, new ones have already been installed in certain spots. In a statement, the city explained that concrete parts are being laid to prepare for installations and that the work is ongoing. Officials say they hope to add more benches this year, depending on the funding available for the next phase. For now, commuters may notice a mix. Some bus stops with benches in place and others still waiting for upgrades. CFTK-TV News, Helena Sante.
Coming up next, the BC Conservatives kick a caucus member to the curb. Well, Nechako Lakes MLA John Rustad has withstood the BC Conservative Party's leadership review. The drama within the party continues as yesterday, Surrey Cloverdale MLA Eleanor Sturco was booted from the caucus without warning. CTV's Robert Buffum reports.
Eleanor Sturco carts her possessions out of the legislature after being kicked out of the BC Conservative caucus. The Surrey Cloverdale MLA says she felt blindsided.
I feel really sad. I feel a deep sense of hurt because the reality is that I've worked really hard.
The bombshell dropping an hour before a high-stakes caucus meeting to discuss the future of John Rustad's leadership after he survived a months-long leadership review resulting in 70% support from 1,268 members who voted across BC.
Actually, really pleased with the number. I think it's a strong mandate going forward.
I don't think it resolves the problems or challenges that he's facing or that the party is facing. I think these battles are going to carry on for the foreseeable future. It doesn't put it to rest by any measure.
A reality underscored by the reaction of fellow MLA Brennan Day heading into the caucus meeting.
Well, I think if we're going to broaden the party, that's definitely a short-sighted move.
Afterwards, he was in no mood to talk. Support John Rustad as your leader.
I don't talk about anything in caucus.
Rustad's leadership has come under scrutiny, including a controversy in which he and the party acknowledged an internal audit caught 2,100 inappropriate memberships being signed up. Sturco didn't mince words, calling for his ouster.
I hope that John Rustad does the right thing. I hope he resigns. I hope that he receives pressure from caucus members. I hope they, honestly grow a set, whatever you want to think that is.
Leaving the meeting, Rustad said the party is unified going forward and axing Sturco was necessary to ensure that unity.
We are all united, particularly around our goal, which is to get rid of this NDP government that has been so destructive for the people in this province.
By night's end, Sturco was no longer in the party, and for now at least, Rustad remained its leader. Robert Buffum, CTV News, Victoria.
The Union of BC Municipalities is currently holding their annual assembly, bringing together municipal leaders from across the province. CTV's Brendan Strain reports.
Municipal leaders from across the province have descended on Victoria for the annual meeting of the Union of BC Municipalities.
This forum this week is important of us coming together, sharing of ideas, getting some support here.
It's a conference that will build a collective voice, taking a number of concerns to higher government. An emerging topic, community safety and unaddressed crime and disorder in downtown cores across the province, including the municipality of Souk.
We're growing, the number of calls increase, which means we need more officers on the ground.
Roughly 25% of Souk's budget pays for policing, and Souk's mayor says there are many factors that are leading to that increase in crime, including unaddressed mental health issues and the ongoing drug crisis, all files that fall in the province's lap.
75% of British Columbians don't feel safe in their own community for their families.
Jess Ketchum is the co-founder of the Save Our Streets Coalition, an organization that was formed a little over a year ago when a number of community associations and business owners began voicing their concerns about increased crime in communities across BC.
These issues are fixable. We know that there are solutions to each aspect of these issues. It's just a matter of having the political will to actually get it done.
On Wednesday, SOS will hold a rally on the steps of the BC Legislature, with many mayors voicing their concerns.
Municipalities are being forced to fill gaps that traditionally were filled by provincial government programs and funding.
Victoria's mayor will be one of those speakers. BC's capital city has recently embarked on its community safety and well-being plan. Phase 1 will see more than $10 million diverted from other priorities in order to pay for various programs and projects to deal with downtown crime.
We very much hope that that gap filling is temporary, because we do believe that these matters are much better, much more appropriate, and frankly, done in the longer term more efficiently by provincial governments whose responsibilities clearly fall in social services, healthcare, and crime prevention and response.
On Friday, BC's Premier will address the UBCM on the conference's final day. That's where community leaders will be looking for some hard commitments from the province to address crime, disorder, and many of the factors that are leading to its increase throughout BC. Brendan Strain, CTV News, Victoria.
Next, let's take a look at your Northwest weather report. Tonight on the North Coast, expect conditions to be cloudy with a 60% chance of showers this evening and after midnight, then partly cloudy, a low of 9 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect sun and clouds tomorrow, then some more rain. Daily highs 12 to 14 degrees, overnight lows 8 to 10 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect it to be mainly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers, a low of 8 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect a chance of showers tomorrow, then rainy skies after that. Highs between 10 and 13 degrees, overnight lows 7 to 8 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, conditions are clearing. Fog patches developing overnight, a low of -3 with frost. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, it's looking like a sunny 16 degrees tomorrow, before some clouds and showers come back for a while. Daily highs 12 to 16 degrees, overnight lows 3 to 5 degrees. Checking your highways around the Northwest now. On Highway 16, there's construction in Prince Rupert with a detour in effect, as well as ditching, bridge maintenance, road maintenance, mowing, and shoulder work underway. On Highway 37, watch for construction work and bridge construction. On Highway 37A, there's a section with falling rocks as well as bridge maintenance underway. On the Niska Highway, watch for mowing. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, world leaders converge for the UN General Assembly. Striking BC Public Service workers say its job action against the province over wages and other compensation is now the longest such strike in the province's history. The BC General Employees Union expanded picket lines to 10 offices and facilities across 5 cities today as the strike enters its 4th week. Workers began picketing yesterday at liquor and cannabis distribution warehouses in Delta, Richmond, and Kamloops in direct aim at the public. There are now more than 12,000 workers involved in job actions against the province in the dispute. World leaders have congregated in New York City for the UN General Assembly, Prime Minister Carney included, and the war in Gaza is atop of agenda. Here's CTV's Judy Trin with Monday's report from the Assembly.
Madame la Présidente.
As the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly opens, growing support for Palestinian statehood dominates the agenda.
Rien ne justifie plus la poursuite.
Nothing justifies the ongoing war in Gaza. Nothing. On the contrary, everything compels us to definitively end it, since we didn't do it earlier.
3 G7 nations, Britain, France, and Canada, are recognizing the state of Palestine to apply political pressure to end the war in Gaza.
Canada recognizes the state of Palestine.
While the Prime Minister spoke, Israel's representative at the UN left his seat empty.
We will not take part in this charade.
Since the October 7th attacks, Gaza has been decimated. Nearly 2 million people have been displaced, while settler violence in the West Bank has increased.
We call for a permanent ceasefire.
Mahmoud Abbas appeared via video after the U.S. denied him a visa. The Prime Minister says Canada and like-minded countries will work with the Palestinian Authority, but Hamas will have no role in governance.
Recognizing the state of Palestine, led by the Palestinian Authority, empowers those who seek peaceful coexistence and the end of Hamas. It doesn't legitimize terrorism. And in no way does it compromise Canada's steadfast support for the State of Israel.
More than 150 nations now recognize Palestine, but this is a move that will strain relations with Israel.
When Canada takes an unprecedented stance, moving away from being a constructive player in the Middle East to one that is joining a choir, this is a moment when Canada has to understand that it will become less relevant for Israel.
This will also strain Canada's relationship with the U.S., the only permanent member of the UN Security Council that has not recognized Palestine. It also has veto power. President Donald Trump will address the UN General Assembly Tuesday.
U.S. President Donald Trump used his speech today to the United Nations to blast the body for failing to live up to its potential. He criticized the UN for failing to end wars, arguing that words alone cannot achieve peace. Trump also lashed out at Canada and the more than 150 other countries recognizing an independent Palestinian state. Prime Minister Mark Carney is there, where he co-chaired an event today with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky focused on Ukrainian children abducted by Russia. Turning to the markets now, Canada's main stock index pulled back after topping 30,000 for the first time to close more than 140 points lower as tech stocks weighed it down. The Canadian dollar fell about 1/10 cent. The price of gold rose 40.60. Oil rose $1.13. Natural gas gained 5 cents. Aluminum dropped 32.50. In Toronto, the TSX was down 143 points. The Venture Index fell by 9 points. In New York, the Nasdaq was down almost 216 points, and the Dow Jones dropped almost 89 points. Still ahead, the BC ostrich cull saga continues. A tourism expert says multiple factors are behind the continued drop in the number of Canadians traveling to the U.S. Toronto Metropolitan University professor Wayne Smith says immigration enforcement blitzes have made Canadians nervous to cross the border. He also points to worries about the economy and the two countries' strained relations. Smith said if the trend continues and Canadian snowbirds stay at home this winter, cities in Florida, Arizona, California, and Texas will feel the pinch. And the seemingly endless back and forth between a BC ostrich farm and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency following the order to cull the birds continues. Here's a look at what happened yesterday. We'll have today's update to follow.
The farm spokesperson in BC's interior said by early this morning there was a convoy of about 70 vehicles, including police and others, and by late morning BC time, they were waiting to go through search warrants with their lawyer.
Today is life versus death. Today we need to choose life.
Universal Ostrich Farm says the dozens of vehicles on site include the RCMP and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and there's a command post set up in Edgewood, BC. Hundreds of people have been watching this YouTube live feed of the birds as the day unfolds. The RCMP would only tell CTV News the CFIA is the lead agency. Police are there to keep the peace and enforce the law, while the CFIA did not respond at all by deadline. The farm was anticipating the inspection agency would carry out the cull of about 400 ostriches by early this week and put out a call for supporters for help. And during this lengthy saga, the farm has had no shortage of big-name supporters, including the U.S. Secretary for Health, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who wrote to the CFIA in May hoping to save the ostriches, saying there would be significant value in studying their immune response to avian flu. This all began last December when the CFIA ordered the ostriches to be destroyed following an outbreak of avian flu. The farm spokesperson says it's been more than 200 days with no testing, and the animals have been healthy that whole time. The farm lost its bid to stop the cull in federal court and is in the middle of asking the Supreme Court to hear its case, which would include an emergency stay of the cull. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
And now today's update. Tensions have escalated and arrests have been made. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports.
Are you going to tell your kids I was on the wrong side of history?
On day 2 of the heavy RCMP and Canadian Food Inspection Agency presence at the farm, supporters say the family who runs it is being mistreated.
And they can't sleep, they're stressed, it's disgusting. It's like domestic terrorism from the government to the public, to the citizens. They are being terrorized, and they are good, wholesome people and they don't deserve it.
Shame! Shame!
Those farmers have been arrested for refusing to leave the animals and hand over the property to the CFIA. Police action they knew was coming.
We've been notified that if we don't leave the property this morning willingly, that we will be arrested and removed from our own private property.
The farm is running out of time in its 9-month fight to save the birds after an avian flu outbreak killed a few dozen of them last December. The CFIA says the ostriches could still spread a unique and more lethal strain of the virus. The farm insists the birds are healthy and their antibodies should be studied.
They're not listening to us. We've been trying for 9 months of clear communication of that these animals are healthy. Can we test them? That is it. Can we test them for virus? And that's been denied.
It is unclear when the CFIA could begin the cull here. The farm says it has submitted emergency court filings to delay it. Supporters tell me they're hoping for a miracle to save these animals' lives.
That's our news for now. For more local news, you can visit us at CFTK-TV.com. We're also on YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, and X. We'll be back tomorrow with more local news. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.